Okay, so here's some theory that I've been working on for a little while, which I always struggle to explain to people when we're talking about why we run and why a lot of people who are more experienced will run a more rear orientated grip on a drift car. Now, rather boringly, here's a ruler. You can see here. I'm going to use this to try and explain what I mean. So we're going to assume, for the sake of everything I do here, that we've got a pretty much 50-50 balance of weight on this representation of our drift car here. The more you talk about the weight, the more it starts to throw things into a little bit of peculiarity, and obviously geometry has a bit of a play here. But this is to try and explain the grip towards the rear and the reason why. Let's say this is my drift car and I've pitched it sideways and it's now sliding. Now, if that's my angle, I'm going this way forwards. Let's say it's a left turn. If that's my angle there, the direction and momentum of the car will be pushing the car along like this. And you can see that it's when it's roughly in the middle that it moves it forwards. And that's the same especially when we get to something like a 90-degree corner. So if I've really thrown this car in, it's 90 degrees. We're looking at everyone's love of backwards entries. Now, if the weight's pushing, so it's getting stuck on the table, that rather disproves my point, but if it's getting stuck on the table, that's irrelevant. Here we go. This is the pressure from the side pushing it forwards, and as it catches at either end, you see it starts to pivot. And we can make that more obvious if I rest my thumb in the middle, and I'm still pushing from the side, and it goes forwards like this. If you run a semi-slick at the front of the car, you move the grip forwards. So here's me with the grip at the front of the car, and if the weight and position of my direction of travel is still bringing the momentum into the centre of the car, it's immediately going to pivot. And this is why if you run loads of grip at the front versus at the back, you're more likely to spin. So here we are again. I'm just resting my finger on there, pushing from the middle. Round it goes. If the weight's in the middle, try and keep my hand out of the way. So the weight's now in the middle. I push from the side. It slides perfectly sideways. Now this is where, if you've got this 50-50 balance, you can get to a point where it just hangs, and it'll keep on losing speed as it goes forward, and unless you've got the angle absolutely perfect to then come round the corner, you basically will just come to a stop without being able to adjust and go any further. It certainly won't naturally come back. So you get to this 90 degree and you're there, and it's perfect as long as you then want to come round and forward here. But if you want to be able to adjust it mid-drift, what you want is the grip towards the back. And this is why you see a lot of high-end drift cars running a stagger, so the front may be a 2.25, 2.35, whereas the back will be a 2.65. Because if you then push, try and keep my finger out of the way of the shot, the weight, or rather the grip in this instance, is at the back of the car. If I push from the side, you can see it now orientates towards pulling you out of the skid. I'm going to swap fingers so you can see that. So my right hand is now giving you the weight, or rather the grip again, sorry, at the back of the car. So this is my 2.65 at the back, and I've got a 2.15 at the front here, and I've got loads of grip at the back, and then my momentum actually pulls the car out of the skid, not further into it. So you can get on the power, you're now spinning up the back as well, so even though the grip is orientated here, you can use your handbrake and your foot brake and your accelerator to keep the car at angle, because it doesn't want to stay at 90 degrees, it wants to pull itself straight. And that's why you see so many higher end cars running these big tyres at the back, smaller ones at the front. A great example of this, Frederick Asbo's GT86, the old Speed Hunters GT86. That runs a 215 3517 at the front and a 265 4018 at the back, or 3518 at the back, sorry. So they're the same compound, same tyre, less grip at the front, more at the back, so that when it gets to angle, the back end is the end that wants to grip up and pull the car straight again through the corner.